we're going to be taking the knowledge that we have so far and we're going to begin to build out the Dichro Orchid Farms website. So this is a view of what the home page is going to look like, and you can see that I have my menu items up here. There's information on the page. If I resize my screen, you'll notice that at certain points the layout starts to change. So here we have more of a 3-column layout. As my screen gets a little bit smaller, it's going to switch to a 2-column layout. And then it actually continues 2-column layout, but you can see how the pictures now are on the left and the text information stays on the right. The header image has also switched out. In addition, we have a menu link right here, and if I click this, it takes me down to my menu down below, and the menu is 2-column, and then at a certain point the layout, when we get to our smallest screen size, the layout changes, the image at the top changes, the menu now switches to being a 1-column, and there's all kinds of other subtle changes that just improve the readability and the usability of this particular site. So this is what we're going to be working on. As we've been learning in the class, we'll start with our mobile first designs, and we'll be adding in the rules that we want to incorporate in regards to our fonts and how the fonts are treated, as well as to images, thinking about load time, and we'll be enhancing this as we go along. So to start off, I'm just starting with a completely blank, fresh document, and I'll be adding in the various things that we need. So I just have a basic HTML5 layout right here. And let me just show you what I have in the directory. Here's the directory of the files and folders that we'll be working with. I have my index page, which is the one we'll be building out. This will end up being the completed file. I also have an index start, which is the start file that I just showed you. I have an image directory that has a bunch of images that we'll be using in this exercise. I have a CSS folder, which is currently empty, and I have a scripts folder, which contains our HTML5 shiv as well as respond.js. So these are the files that we're going to be using as we build out the page. A lot of these things are already going to be familiar to you, but one of the first things that I want to add on to my page is the code to ensure that the viewport is set to device width and initial scale of 1. And that's just to ensure that whatever we build here is going to work properly in our mobile devices. The next thing that I'm going to add into my site is I'm going to add my links to my JavaScript libraries. So inside of a conditional comment, I'm including a link to the HTML5 shiv. That's just to ensure that the older versions of IE will respect my HTML5 elements. And then I am going to add a link to respond.js. And again, this is just to ensure that older versions of IE will understand media queries. So those are both important things that I want to add into my project. We are going to create a CSS file, so I'll just make a new file and I'm going to save this into my CSS directory. So here I am in my folder. I'm going to go into my CSS directory and we'll just call this file style.css. So now we have a blank CSS file to be working on. I'm going to link to my CSS file now, and then I'm just going to add some content onto my page. So the first thing that we're going to include as far as HTML elements on the page is I'm going to make a containing div that wraps around everything, and I'm just going to give this a class name of container. So this will include all of the various elements that are going to appear on my page. So within the containing div, the first thing that I'm going to add is going to be a header tag, and the header tag is going to simply contain a link tag, and the link tag is going to have a class of logo assigned to it. It will surround an image tag, and the image is simply my logo for the Dichro Orchid Farm website, and then I'll close my A tag. So that is going to be the contents of my header. Then I'm going to create a section tag, and the section tag is simply going to wrap around everything on my page. The first element that I'll add is going to be an article tag. Inside the article tag, I'm going to place some content. We will have an H1, and then we're going to have a paragraph, and inside the paragraph I'm going to insert an image, and the image has an alt tag, and then we'll just have several paragraphs of text appearing. The next thing that I'm going to add onto my page is going to be a div, and this div is going to have a class of promo wrap. And inside the promo wrap, I'm going to actually create an article tag, and the article tag is going to have a class name of promo. These are going to be promotional items that we're going to be including onto our page. And inside the article tag, I'm going to create another div, and my div is going to have a class of content. And then inside the div with a class of content, I'm going to insert some HTML content. So we'll just put an H3 and several paragraphs of text. And again, I'm going to insert an image in the first one of these. Now what I'll do is I'll simply copy my article tag, and I'm going to paste that onto the page again, and then I'm just going to swap out some of the information. The structure of this is going to be exactly the same, but the text and the image is going to be a little bit different, so I'm just going to replace that with a different image and some different text information. Finally, I'll make one more copy of that article tag. And again, this has a class of promo. The content that is going to appear within this is going to be a little bit different. So I'll replace the current content with my new content. This is just going to have two sets of H3 paragraph content. And I'll make that a null link. All these links I'll make null links. Okay, that's looking pretty good. The next item that we're going to place on the page is going to be the navigation. I'm going to give the nav an ID of main nav, and then I'll just create an unordered list that contains list items that have links, and this will be the navigational elements for my page. And then the final thing that I'm going to add to my page is after my section tag closes, I'm going to create a footer tag, and this is just going to have copyright information about the Dichro Orchid website. I will save my page, and let's just take a quick look at how this is looking currently in the browser. You can see that just this contains all of the HTML content. We haven't created any CSS yet, so this is a completely unstyled page. Now by itself, I'll point out that this site is somewhat responsive. It does resize until we get to the images, and when we get to the images we will get horizontal scroll bars, but the content does reflow and worked responsively. So even for someone that's on the lowest common denominator, they would be able to see our site and get the information. It's just not going to look very pretty. So what we'll be doing next is we'll start to build out our CSS and style this page.